Morning, Washington. It is Tuesday, January 22nd. I'm Scott Thuman.
And I still can't get that out of my head from last night, that song. I'm Natasha Barrett in for Sine this morning. Let's get right to meteorologist Jackie Jarris. Jackie, what a chilly morning.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal out there. The coldest air that we've seen in 2 years. So it's been quite some time since we've had to deal with this. That is for sure. And there you can see a wind chill advisory now has been issued for portions of our viewing area. And there you can see that includes you in Hardee County, into Mineral County, and into Hampshire County as well. So as we take a look at what our current temperatures are and what we're seeing on the thermometer, definitely different than what we're feeling outside. It's 24 in Reagan National, 21 at Dulles, 18 in Winchester. But when you add in those brutal winds this morning, yep, feeling like single digits for the most part all across the region. We will feel wind chills in the teens as we progress throughout the day today, so it does get better. And hey, at least we're going to see plenty of sunshine. That's the good news. The Arctic blast lasts through the better part of the week. More details on that in your 7-day forecast. But first, from the Belfort Furniture Weather Center, we'll check on traffic this morning. Hey, Jamie, welcome back.
Why, thank you very much. And everything trying to get back to normal in the district. According to DDOT and crews, all major roads in and out of the district open. The bridge is good. You'll see a couple closures still. In fact, U.S. Park Police say they have a couple barricades still set up on 15th Street, but they're getting that taken care of and wrapping that up. Also on Pennsylvania Avenue, they had some closures near 19th Street and 1st Street. So that's a pretty wide stretch there, each direction between 19th and 1st due to the inauguration activities. Here we are looking in the distance on Pennsylvania Avenue, the Capitol. Beautiful shot there. We have off to a quiet start. No problems to report. Virginia 95, 395. Good trip here, 66, and all those arteries coming in from the west. Also good and currently around the Beltway. Oh, your travel lanes are open. There you go. Scott and Natasha, back to you.
All right, Jamie. Well, a day after Washington celebrated the start of a second term, President Obama and Vice President Biden and their wives will head to the National Cathedral this morning for the presidential inaugural prayer service. That event will include prayer readings, blessings, and hymns delivered by religious leaders from across the country. And the prayer service comes on the heels of what's obviously a pretty busy Monday for the Obamas and the Bidens.
I would say so. The president started the day with a church visit, followed by a ceremonial oath of office, a speech, a parade, then a couple of inaugural balls. ABC's Tamon Bradley has the recap.
At star-studded inaugural balls, President Obama and the First Lady stole the spotlight. Mrs. Obama stunning in a ruby gown by designer Jason Wu. The couple serenaded by Jennifer Hudson. The inaugural balls capped off a spectacular day of pomp, featuring plenty of music. A parade, and a public swearing in at the Capitol. Now it's back to work for Mr. Obama, who in his inaugural address signaled he'll push a bold, progressive agenda.
We have always understood that when times change, so must we.
The president spoke directly to the goals of the more diverse and more socially liberal coalition that reelected him, for the first time in an inaugural speech explicitly mentioning gay rights.
For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well.
He also spoke about climate change, equal pay for women, and immigration reform.
Our journey is not complete until we find a better way to welcome the striving, hopeful immigrants who still see America as a land of opportunity.
The president paused during many of the day's special moments, seeming to take it all in, knowing this would be his last inauguration. Some Republicans thought President Obama's inaugural address was too partisan. With divided government here in Washington, the president will need some GOP support to pass his big agenda items. Tamon Bradley, ABC News, Washington.
An inauguration planning official says the turnout for President Obama's second inauguration yesterday was definitely above 800,000 people and possibly up to 1 million. That's compared to 1.8 million people who attended President Obama's first swearing-in back in '09. Metro also had a very busy day with about 719,000 people using Metro Rail. A record 1 million passengers used the rail service for the inauguration 4 years ago. And expect a busy day at airports today because many people are now heading home after after all the parties. For additional coverage of the inauguration, head to our website, WJLA.com. We have photo galleries there of all the events yesterday. Plus, you can check out the day of tweets from the National Mall. And you can see additional stories from people who were there. Scott?
Well, in the day ahead, jury selection begins in the trial of a former Culpeper police officer accused of murdering an unarmed woman. Daniel Harmon Wright was indicted in May, then fired from the police department. He allegedly shot and killed Patricia Cook last February. Prosecutors say he was responding to a suspicious person call when he approached Cook in a Catholic school parking lot. They say he shot her 7 times. And another high-profile murder trial is scheduled to get underway today in Maryland. Michael Johnson is charged with first-degree murder in the killing of 16-year-old Felicia Barnes. The North Carolina teen disappeared while visiting her half-sister in Baltimore back in December of 2010. Her body was later found in the Susquehanna River. Johnson, who once dated Barnes' half-sister, maintains his innocence.
And events will be held today to mark the 40th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, one of the Supreme Court's most controversial decisions, which legalized abortions. One group plans to hold a ceremony this afternoon to honor doctors and others who they say risk their lives to provide abortions. And the National Organization of Women plans to hold a candlelight vigil that will go on at the Supreme Court tonight. The annual March for Life is scheduled to take place this Friday. In business news, Southwest has a new way to boost their profit.
And Groupon is suspending its gun deals. Linda Bell joining us now live from Bloomberg headquarters in New York to explain those stories and more. Good morning, Linda.
Hello to you, Scott and Natasha. Wall Street heading back to work today after the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and corporate earnings season is very much still in full swing. Now, this afternoon, we do get quarterly reports from companies and tech powerhouses like Google and IBM. And speaking of tech, we're also keeping a very close eye on shares of Apple. The reason is that they report their quarterly results tomorrow, and analysts say they may face their first profit drop in 10 years. And you may ask why? Well, they're facing higher production costs as well as competition from Samsung and slowing growth in the smartphone market. Now, it's worth noting that shares of Apple have already dropped about 30% since September. Meantime, you mentioned Groupon. They're pulling the plug on gun-related deals. The site is halting gun-related offers, citing recent customer and merchant feedback, but we have no word yet on whether DC-based daily deals site Living Social will do the same. And if you like boarding planes early, Southwest Airlines is offering you the option to do so, but it will cost you. The airline is charging $40 for a flight for the privilege. Now, so far, Southwest says it has received positive feedback from tests in San Diego. And if you're hoping to score tickets for this year's Super Bowl, that will cost you a pretty penny as well. I'll tell you just how much tickets are going for on sites like StubHub and eBay. That's coming up in the next hour. Live at Bloomberg headquarters in New York, I'm Linda Bell reporting for ABC 7 News. Back to you.
Oh, I guess it's more than enough to pay the rent for a month or two, probably.
I bet.
Definitely.
See you a little bit.
All right, Linda. Well, it's 4:38 now, 22 degrees, but feels a lot colder out there.
Yes, it does. 22 degrees on my dashboard. Still to come here on Good Morning Washington. We'll pass along some tips to keep your home warm as we deal with below freezing temperatures. And this cold weather has many homeowners checking to see that their heating systems are working fine or not. Donna Willis of Donmar Heating and Cooling says something as simple as replacing a filter can save you hundreds of dollars in repairs down the line. The same is true for clearing the airflow area near your furnace to keep it from getting clogged.
About 3 cold days in a row for furnaces to work a lot. So if they have worn components, that's when the problems are going to show up.
Also, now's a good time to make sure your vehicle and plumbing systems are ready for the freezing temperatures. Good advice, Scott.
Oh, we're going to need that on a day like today in the Weather Center with Jackie Jerrison. Okay, so the map you showed earlier, daunting, just with the numbers on it. Then you flipped it to the wind chill numbers. Awful.
Quite a difference. Yeah, it's really going to be a blustery day, and that makes all the difference. You know, tomorrow morning's temperatures on the thermometer might be actually colder than this morning, but you've got the wind chill factor, so right. So today's actually going to end up feeling worse. Yeah, let's show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, starting with the ugly. 24 degrees, that's our temperature. Our air is really, really dry. Look at our dew point, -1. The winds out of the north-northwest, 24 miles per hour. That's the sustained winds, but we're going to see gusts at times between 30 and 35 miles per hour. So that's what's driving that wind chill factor down, feeling like single digits. It feels like 1 in Winchester, 8 in Luray, 7 at Dulles, 3 in Gaithersburg, 8 in D.C., and 15 in Quantico. We'll take you into the future and step you through the day in that even by the noon hour, we're only talking teens at best. And I think that's going to be the rule through the afternoon into the upper teens. And then we'll start to drop it back down again tonight. And the low double digits are probably upper single digits. So certainly bitter cold, the coldest air we've seen in 2 years. On the thermometer, we'll make it into the middle 20s this afternoon. But hey, at least it's going to look good. We've got sunshine. How about it, Jamie Whitten?
Whew, the coldest in 2 years. That is unbelievable. And I can definitely tell heading out and about, I don't think my car ever warmed up on the way to the office here. Well, right now we are quiet for the start of our Tuesday morning commute. Heading through town, DDOT and crews say all major bridges and roads in and out of the district open from yesterday's activities. So just wanted to give you a note there and give you that alert that we're in good shape. No problems on 270. Here we come southbound through Germantown, Rockville, and down through to the Capitol Beltway. We do have the high wind restrictions at the Bay Bridge. No high-profile vehicles or box trailers because of the gusting winds in that area. No problems on the Capitol Beltway right now. Maryland, Virginia, you check out fine. Virginia, we're good too. Coming in from the west in those arteries to join up through to the Beltway. Scott, Natasha, good morning and back to you.
Oh, good morning to you as well. All right, it is cold out there. 22 degrees. Look at that number on your TV. 444 this morning.
And coming up, Prince Harry prepares to return home to England from a 5-month deployment to Afghanistan. Hear what he's saying about his experience.
All right, checking our top stories this morning at 4:47. A Dance with the First Lady ended a day of celebrations to mark President Obama's second inauguration last night. It began with the ceremonial swearing in at the Capitol in front of hundreds of thousands of people. The president then made an aggressive call for action before taking part in his last inaugural parade. And jury selection is set to begin in the trial of a former Culpeper police officer. That officer accused of killing an unarmed woman. Prosecutors say Daniel Harmon Wright shot and killed Patricia Cook. It happened last February while responding to a suspicious person call. And there will be several events today to mark 40 years since the Supreme Court handed down its controversial Roe v. Wade decision, which legalized abortion. Abortion rights groups will hold events today around the city. The annual March for Life will be held on Friday. Scott?
Natasha, nearly 50 years after a racially motivated bombing on a Birmingham church killed 4 innocent girls, there is a request for recognition. Later this morning, several lawmakers will announce plans to ask that the Congressional Gold Medal be awarded to 14-year-olds Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley, and 11-year-old Denise McNair. All were killed at the 16th Street Baptist Church on September 15, 1963. The tragedy and the protests that followed helped draw more attention to the civil rights movement. And the State Department says 3 Americans were among dozens of people killed in last week's hostage standoff at a natural gas complex in Algeria. Officials say Victor Lovelady, Gordon Rowan, and Frederick Butacchio died at that complex in the Sahara Desert. 7 other Americans did make it out safely. Algeria's prime minister says 38 workers and 29 militants died. 5 foreigners are still missing.
Well, after a 5-month deployment in Afghanistan, Prince Harry is headed home to England for some much-needed R&R. The 28-year-old prince served as an Apache helicopter pilot with the Army Air Corps. In interviews conducted in Afghanistan, Prince Harry described feeling boredom, frustration, and satisfaction during a tour that saw him fire at Taliban fighters. He also spoke of his struggle to balance his job as an Army officer with his royal role and his relief at the chance to be, quote, one of the guys.
Well, testimony resumes today in the misconduct trial of Anne Arundel County Executive John Leopold. He's accused of using members of his police detail to compile files on political rivals and also as security during sexual encounters with a county employee in public parking lots. Leopold says he is innocent. The Republican waived his right to a jury and opted for a judge to determine his guilt or innocence.
Investigators are trying to find out what caused a fire that destroyed a house in Groveton in Fairfax County. The fire started Monday night, last night, in a home on Claiborne Avenue. The house destroyed, as we just said. No word yet on any injuries over there.
Around Montgomery County, a Maryland House committee will hold a hearing today on a bill aimed at closing a loophole in Maryland's sex crime laws. It would prohibit school employees and contractors over 21 years old who supervise minor students from having any sexual contact with them. Current law prohibits only full-time employees from having such contact. Meanwhile, the Montgomery County Council will hold a public hearing today on a proposed smoking ban. It would ban smoking on property owned or leased by the county. Now, the only exception would be for public rights of way. It is 4:50 now and a blustery 22 degrees out there.
Yes, sir. Next up, the inside scoop on the First Lady's fashions all day yesterday during the inauguration. Learn which lucky designers are expected to get huge exposure because of her choices.
And coming up on Katie, finding the courage to move on after tragedy while finding the strength to forgive. We're going to hear from the father who lost his 3 daughters in a fire, plus a mother whose son was murdered. That's today at 4 o'clock right here on ABC 7. right, 4:54 now, and I can imagine the biggest topic of conversation today is going to be that cold.
Oh,
I mean,
my
what else
goodness, you know?
You can't escape it, Jackie Jarris.
You cannot.
We can, and we're going to have to embrace it, unfortunately, because it's going to stick around for a while. In fact, we're probably not going to get above the freezing mark until Friday afternoon. So this is the coldest air that we've seen in 2 years. 2 years. So you're definitely feeling the impact of this. And our winds are very strong this morning. So while we're seeing some teens and 20s here on the thermometer, as we take a look at the wind chill factor, everybody pretty much feels like single digits. So that is brutal, and it only takes, maybe 30 minutes to get frostbite. So do cover yourself up this morning. Feels like 7 at Dulles, 8 in Washington, D.C. Feels like 3 in Gaithersburg, 6 in Frederick this morning. You've got -1 in Hagerstown, and we've got 1 above in Winchester at this hour. That cold air entrenched all the way into the deep south. Even look at places like Asheville, Nashville, 23 degrees. That's the temperature at this hour. Skies are clearing out, though, behind our cold front, so it is clear and cool, and you can see the moon in Jupiter, by the way. Our forecast for today, mostly sunny, windy, and cold, with wind chills in the teens through the day, 20 to 28 degrees, and there you can see we'll stay cold through the week. And snow lovers, we're watching Friday. We got a shot at it, but we might see a wintry mix as well. That's the latest on the forecast. It's time for traffic. Hey, Jamie.
Good morning. Yes, chilly it is. And actually, some of the traffic cameras are kind of a little bit shaky with the wind as well. Wind restrictions at the Bay Bridge, so no high-profile vehicles, no box trailers. We get you out to the roads, and it is quiet as we get started around the Beltway. Heading in through town and in our nation's capital, everything wrapping up from yesterday's activities. Wanted to take a look at Pennsylvania Avenue here. Just essentially about 2 blocks on Pennsylvania Avenue between 14th and 12th. Looks like they still were doing some cleanup of the celebration. All major roads in and out of our nation's capital, bridges open, so no problems there. And like I mentioned, some of the cameras, you might see them just a little bit shaky as we check around right now, but no early problems as far as the volume. Look at that. Scott, Natasha, back to you.
All right, Jamie, 4:56 now. And of course, one of the biggest questions during the president's inauguration yesterday, I was asking this, was who was the First Lady wearing?
Who was she wearing? Well, we're getting some answers to those burning questions. Here's a look at what she wore for last night's inaugural balls.
I'm so in love with you.
By the way, we're jamming out here. That singer Jennifer Hudson serenading the couple with Al Green's Let's Stay Together. Mrs. Obama wore a ruby chiffon and velvet gown designed by her good friend Jason Wu. Lucky guy, second time around. She wore a gown by Wu for the balls back in '09. Made his life, essentially. He's doing well now. Earlier in the day, the First Lady wore a navy blue silk coat by little-known American designer Tom Brown, who didn't know his design was chosen until he saw it on Monday. That's what happened to Jason Wu, too. J. Crew made the sparkly belt and purple gloves Mrs. Obama wore with the coat. Daughter Malia wore J. Crew, while sister Sasha had on Kate Spade.
I can't stop loving you.
And when it comes to Dr. Jill Biden, she chose a shimmering blue sleeveless dress by Vera Wang. She danced with her husband, Joe Biden, of course, vice president, as Jamie Foxx crooned I Can't Stop Loving You by Ray Charles.
Lots of love in the air.
Yeah, wasn't there? Might have romance out there.
Lots of romance. Time now 4:57 and 20-something degrees. It's cold. Just put a lot of stuff on.
Bundle up. Still ahead on Good Morning Washington. Apparently the wives of the New England Patriots players haven't learned from the Gisele Bundchen, that there are consequences to bad-mouthing your husband's competition. We'll tell you what one wife had to say about Ravens star Ray Lewis.
Coming up, a less hectic day for the First Family following a whirlwind of events to celebrate President Obama's second inauguration. But local airports are expected to be very busy.
Plus, learn what's taking place today to mark the 40th anniversary of the landmark Roe versus Wade decision.
And the TV gigs? Well, they continue to pile up for the girlfriend of Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron. Why she might need some dancing shoes? Good Morning Washington at 5 a.m. begins right now.
Live and in HD, this is Good Morning Washington, on your side.
And Good Morning Washington. It's Tuesday, January 22nd. I'm Natasha Baird in for Sine this morning.
And I'm Scott Thuman, and we're starting off in the Weather Center because there's nothing bigger for us to talk about today than these terribly cold temperatures, Jackie.
You're going to be talking about this for days. I hate to say it. Yeah, this is the coldest air we've seen in 2 years.
Ooh.
And we've got to wait till Friday before we get any better. So let's talk about the nasty, and that's that the wind chill factor will be a big issue today in the single digits this morning, moving up into the teens this afternoon. The bright note is that we'll see plenty of sunshine, so lots of sun throughout much of the week, but late week snow lovers, we could get some snow. It might be a wintry mix as we get a little closer. We'll fine-tune those details for you. All right, let's show you the current wind chill factor. It feels like 10 in D.C., feels like 6 at Dulles, feels like 3 in Gaithersburg. So cover up your head, cover up your hands, put on a scarf this morning. Our express forecast showing you nothing but sun all day long. Our high about 27 degrees, but again, feeling like teens this afternoon. More details on when we could possibly warm up in the 7-day forecast. But first, from the Belfort Furniture Weather Center, let's see how the cars are moving with the cold weather. How about it, Jamie?
We're starting it up and trying to get the engines running, and we're doing okay right now. Around the region, not too much to tell you about. In fact, I think we'll take a look at a few cameras here and go Interstate 95, Virginia. Everyone coming out of Stafford here, our early birds were good, we're quiet. A little bit shaky on the cameras, though, with those winds. So I do keep that in mind. Also in the Bay Bridge, there's wind restrictions. No high-profile vehicles or box trailers permitted. We'll make the trip in Maryland and hitting the road running here. We're doing okay as we go across 270 coming out of Germantown down through to the Beltway. If you're heading through Rockville on 355, good. Everything trying to get back to normal in our nation's capital as all major roads in and out of the district over the bridges, those have been reopened. We're looking at Pennsylvania Avenue here too. And it looks like they're trying to get everything reopened near 12th and 14th Street. So very quiet. Scott, Natasha, back to you.
All right, Jamie. Well, the First Family prepares for fewer inaugural events today. How could you not? With a trip to the National Cathedral for the presidential inaugural service.
And this comes after a number of events yesterday to celebrate the president's second inauguration. Tori Dunnan has this wrap for you.
Today, we experienced the majesty of our democracy.
President Obama's second inauguration followed most traditions, except this go around, there were a couple of repeats. Because January 20th fell on a Sunday, Obama took the oath of office not once,
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear,
but twice.
So help you God. So help me God.
The president and first lady walked part of the parade route along Pennsylvania Avenue, getting out of the car more than once. And Michelle Obama wore a long red gown to the inaugural balls.
Let's stay together.
She chose the same designer, Jason Wu, who she wore to the inaugural balls 4 years ago. As for the president, it was his second crack at delivering an inaugural address. He spoke of the magnitude of the moment.
We must act knowing that our work will be imperfect. We must act knowing that today's victories will be only partial.
For those who believe the president failed them during his first term, at least for one day, perhaps some hope that his second term will be different. In Washington, I'm Tori Dunnan.
Well, you know, after all the festivities and all the people that poured into town, means it's time for them to go home now.
They have to go somewhere, and Brianne Carter knows where that is. It's Reagan National Airport. It's going to be a busy day at the airport, all airports today. Bree, how are things looking right now?
Well, we've already got a crowd here at Reagan National Airport this morning, Natasha. Now that those major inaugural festivities are over, everyone visiting the nation's capital, well, this morning they are headed home. And officials here at the airport say across Washington area airports today that they expect it to be like the day before Thanksgiving, just to give you a heads up of the number of people they are expecting. And so far, as you can see, people are already lining up to go to those automated ticket counters and be able to check in. Now, it is estimated that 1 million people attended the inauguration on the National Mall, and more than 500,000 to 800,000 were first projected, so it's topping out over that. Metro says about 719,000 people were on the tracks Monday, and many of them may be riding the rails once again today to get to area airports or to catch a train as well. Now, a lot of people were visiting from a number of different places across the country, talking to people on the mall yesterday, anywhere from Minnesota to California, and so a lot of those people will be headed home today. Officials say get to the airport early. Reporting live at Reagan National, Brianne Carter, ABC 7 News.
All right, Bree, for additional coverage of the inauguration, go to our website, WJLA.com. We have a photo gallery of the day's events, a big wrap up for you. Plus, you can check out the day of tweets, and boy, there were some tweets from the National Mall.
Now looking at the day ahead, jury selection begins in the trial of a former Culpeper police officer accused of murdering an unarmed woman. Daniel Harmon Wright was indicted in May and then fired from the police department. He allegedly shot and killed Patricia Cook last February. Prosecutors say he approached Cook in a school parking lot while responding to a call of a suspicious person. They say he shot her 7 times. And today also marks the start of a high-profile murder trial in Maryland. Michael Johnson is charged with first-degree murder in the December 2010 killing of 16-year-old Felicia Barnes. The North Carolina teen disappeared while visiting her half-sister in Baltimore. Her body was later found in the Susquehanna River. Johnson, who once dated Barnes' half-sister, says he had nothing to do with her death.
There also will be several events today to mark 40 years since the Supreme Court handed down its controversial ruling legalizing abortion. They include a ceremony to honor doctors and others who have been killed since Roe v. Wade was issued back in 1973, and a candlelight vigil outside the Supreme Court. That's scheduled for this evening. The annual March for Life is scheduled to take place this Friday. Well, it's about 5:08, 23 degrees outside.
Still ahead on Good Morning Washington, new details in that standoff in Algeria. The State Department is saying now about some of the Americans who were held hostage.
I've been there. Technical problems didn't stop Beyonce from delivering a great rendition of our national anthem during the presidential inauguration. Apparently, she had some feedback in her ear, so she pulled out her earpiece and continued to sing without any problems. Her next big performance will, of course, be the halftime show at the Super Bowl on February 3rd.
Yeah, you know, and that was a great performance. I was on the risers there, probably from the vantage point you're looking at there, and it was just amazing. It was funny how people were so excited to hear Beyonce and Kelly Clarkson. Of course, James Taylor was great too, but kind of overshadowing the excitement for the president's remarks.
Hey, anytime you have the stars
up there in the risers, everyone was like, oh, here comes Beyonce.
It was like yesterday when all the heads of state and former presidents were coming out of the Capitol, and then Eva Longoria.
Right.
Just out of the blue.
And then the burst of applause. Yeah,
exactly.
But it was a great day out there. And Jackie Jarris and I had been talking a lot about this beforehand. We were lucky because it wasn't as cold as it was 4 years ago. Still chilly, but boy, thank God it was yesterday, not today.
We got extremely lucky.
We planned that, just so you know. We said, oh, we can't make all of our visitors be cold. We don't want the president to be freezing cold, because actually it would be dangerous. It would only take maybe 30 minutes or so for people to start getting frostbite in these kind of conditions. So if they were standing out there for hours, we would have a lot of issues because of the cold. So we can be thankful for that. There you can see the wind chill, 10 degrees right now at Reagan National, 6 at Dulles. Do we have Adam Caskey with us this morning? Okay, we just took the graphics full, so I wasn't sure. There we go. And Storm Chaser 7 this morning. Adam, you got the hat on finally. Is it finally cold enough for you?
Oh, it's definitely cold enough for the hat and the thick gloves this morning. Not just my usual little thin gloves that I can still operate my iPhone with. No, the thick gloves this morning. Now the wind is picked up. When it does, I'm clocking wind chills closer to 10 degrees downtown with an air temperature of 23 now outside the Verizon Center. I have a new technique in the morning when I'm out here with the Storm Chaser to keep me warm, and it's simply this. Hop up and sit on the nice warm hood outside. It feels good. Actually, the Caps are taking on the Winnipeg Jets later on tonight at 7 p.m. here at the Verizon Center. So, fitting weather for hockey today. High temperatures will be in the mid-20s this afternoon. It's really the coldest air that we've seen in a couple of years here in Washington. Wind chills in the single digits to near 10 this morning. Wind chills this afternoon still around 10 and I think in the lower teens. Highs in the mid-20s. At least we'll have a good amount of sunshine. And then tomorrow morning is going to be even colder than this morning, but it's a trade-off. The wind's going to die down a bit for tomorrow morning, but however, the temperatures will be a little bit colder, the actual air temperatures, but not as much of a wind chill factor. Actually, I don't think we're going to get above freezing again until maybe Friday afternoon, and still, that is a big maybe for Friday afternoon. And right now, it looks like we could see some snow on Friday. It's not as much a question of what type of precipitation, it's really how much, a dusting or a few inches. Something we'll keep an eye on and update accordingly. Let's go to Jamie now with our commute. How are we rolling?
We're rolling just fine, Adam. I've had the feeling next time we check in with you, you'll have about 30 people sitting on the hood of that car, keeping everyone warm. And as we get started here on our Tuesday morning trek, good. 95, 395 Virginia, absolutely nothing to tell you about between Stafford to and across the inbound 14th Street Bridge. Beltway checking out fine through Tyson's. We look good on 270 between Frederick and the Beltway. Getting back to normal in our nation's capital. Everything in and out of the district. Reopened bridges. That looks good. Pennsylvania Avenue. Want to take a quick peek here. They're wrapping everything up as well. Back to you.
All right, Jamie, 5:14 now, and as Adam showed you, got to be creative to get around those 22-degree temperatures out there.
Yes. Coming up on the show, a foul move off the field by the wife of a New England Patriots player. How she took to social media to slam Ravens star Ray Lewis.
Welcome back, everyone. 5:17 on this Tuesday morning, and we need to pass along our first school delay of the day. Garrett County Public Schools today on a 2-hour delay, and we can only imagine that weather may be a factor there as well, because that's typically when it gets this cold, everyone starts to hit the panic button a little bit.
Right, and they're the first ones to get that S word too.
Well, and having kids out at bus stops, yes, yeah, it's tough sometimes.
It's good to be careful. So 2-hour delay out there at Garrett County, Maryland. All right, moving now to news around the world. A 9-year-old girl is dead and several others injured after an earthquake rocked parts of western Indonesia. The magnitude right now we think is 4.9, that quake that hit around dawn this morning. And the State Department identified 3 Americans who died in last week's hostage standoff at a natural gas plant in Algeria. Officials say Victor Lovelady, Gordon Rowan, and Frederick Botakio died after Islamist militants seized the complex in the Sahara Desert. Algeria's prime minister says at least 38 workers and 29 militants died in that siege. 5 foreigners actually, are still missing.
Today is election day in Israel. Incumbent Benjamin Netanyahu is widely expected to win the race for prime minister. The voters are also choosing members of parliament. 32 parties are running for representation in Israel's 120-member parliament.
All right.
You don't even know where to start, right?
Other than brr.
And just remember, I'm just the messenger.
Yes.
This is not my fault.
We know that. We know that.
But it is going to be days of bundling up.
Yeah, it really will be. If you heard Adam say it, it's probably going to be Friday afternoon. And even that's a close call. You know, we're only talking about a high, maybe 33 degrees by Friday. So that's as good as it's going to get for a while. Now, on a bright note, you can see the moon and Jupiter in conjunction next to each other this morning. Our Alex Lickett took a couple of photos I'm going to show to you later this morning. But so run outside right now and go take a look. I know you want to with the wind chill. 24 degrees. Or 23 degrees, excuse me. That's the temperature right now on the thermometer. Look at the dew point. It's down to -6. So it's an extremely dry air. It makes it crystal clear. So great for looking at things on our roof camera, looking at the moon and Jupiter. But our winds are to the northwest at 15 miles per hour. And so that's what's driving that wind chill factor down and making it feel like single digits across much of the area. Now, some of us are seeing wind chills in the low teens. Some of us are seeing them in the single digits. And there you can see on the thermometer what the readings are at this time. 21 in Manassas, 19 at Dulles, 18 in Gaithersburg, 20 at this hour at BWI, but feeling like 7 there, feeling like 4 in Gaithersburg, feeling like 6 at Dulles, and 10 at Reagan National. That cold air entrenched all the way down to the deep south. Take a look at Atlanta. Feels like 22, 14 in Nashville. Minneapolis feels like 22 below, but that's nothing compared to the 40 below readings they were seeing in northern Minnesota yesterday. Here's a look at our numbers. Our averages 43 and 28. We're going to slowly watch those numbers go up by the end of the week. So this is really on average the coldest week of the year, and Mother Nature is certainly delivering. Our future cast for the future wind chills will make it into the teens this afternoon, maybe into the upper teens at times, and then drop back down into the single digits as we head into the overnight. Again, that's the feel factor. Sky is going to be clear throughout the day for today as high pressure controls our weather through the rest of the week until Friday, and that's when we could see some interesting things for you snow lovers. Here's a look at your forecast. Mostly sunny, windy, and cold. Temperatures between 22 and 28. Tonight, between 10 and 16 with partly cloudy skies. And there's that 7-day forecast. Very, very slowly warming things up as we head towards the weekend. We'll keep you up to date on that snow potential for Friday. That's the latest on the forecast. Let's see how the traffic is this morning. A lot of people trying to get out of town now, Jamie.
That's absolutely going to be the case too, Jackie. And we have a little bit of a snag right now on 270, to say the least. Let me take you live here onto 270 heading through the Gaithersburg area. Police arriving to the scene of this crash. Southbound 270 in the main lines, looks like just the right lane getting by. Local lanes are open to the far right. A little hard to see that. But right now this is 270 southbound right near Shady Grove Road. So let's take you back just a step here and see how we're doing on the approach back at 370. Like I said, this accident just happened. So, oh, here come the fire trucks and ambulance too. So we don't have any delay right now on the approach, but right near the exit for Shady Grove. That's where we'll see a lot of this activity. Heading on 95, BW Parkway, good. No problems to report Virginia 95, and getting in and out of our nation's capital, all major bridges, thoroughfares, those have been reopened. But again, we're looking at 270 in Gaithersburg. So a little extra time needed. Scott and Natasha, back to you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Jamie. Big heads up for drivers in that section. Now, in today's Tech Bites, Atari filing for bankruptcy. Atari.
I think I still have mine somewhere. Plus, BlackBerry thinks about expanding. Here's ABC's Rob Nelson.
In today's Tech Bites, Atari wants a divorce. The video game pioneer's U.S. division has filed for bankruptcy so it can split from its French parent company. Atari owns the rights to classics like Pong and Asteroids and now produces digital games. And you may someday find BlackBerry software on devices made by other companies. The head of Research in Motion says that's a possibility, but first RIM wants to see how its new BlackBerry phones do. 2 will be introduced this week. San Antonio will soon have a public library without books, or at least printed books. The bibliothèque will only have e-books and devices to read them, or patrons can download them to their own computers, tablets, and e-readers. And there on the New York City subway the other day was one of the wealthiest men in the world, Google co-founder Sergey Brin. The Google glasses he wore gave him away. Brin is worth more than $20 billion, certainly enough for a limo. Those are your Tech Bites. I'm Rob Nelson.
If you have the audacity to believe in straight talk, not double talk.
If you have the nerve to believe that in a puzzling financial world, clarity is king.
If you believe nothing beats a sit-down for knowing where you stand.
Join the nearly 7 million investors who think like you do. FaceTime and ThinkTime make a difference.
Join us.
For 90 years, it's how Edward Jones has made sense of investing.
Life is a fajita. Keep it delicious. Season it with the natural spices of McCormick Fajita Mix and enjoy every juicy bite. McCormick, it's real food made easy.
This is Anna. Her long day teaching the perfect swing begins with back pain and a choice. Take Advil and maybe have to take up to 4 in a day. Or take Aleve, which can relieve pain all day with just 2 pills. Good eye.
5:27 on this Tuesday morning, and the wife of a New England Patriots player, Wes Welker, is now apologizing for blasting Ravens star Ray Lewis after the Ravens beat the Patriots.
Yep, Anna Burns Welker took to her Facebook account and posted, quote, "If anyone is bored, go to Ray Lewis's Wikipedia page. 6 kids, 4 wives, acquitted for murder, paid a family off. Yay. What a Hall of Fame player, a true role model," end quote. She later apologized, saying she let the competitiveness of the game and the comments people were making about the Patriots get the best of her. Wow.
Well, one of college football's most famous real-life girlfriends is going to be on a reality show. According to TMZ, Catherine Webb, who dates Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron, will be featured on a show called Celebrity Diving. Webb was also overheard saying she was offered a spot on the upcoming season of ABC's Dancing with the Stars. No word yet if she will take part.
Nice to have options.
Isn't it, though? 5:28 now, 22 degrees, and the news continues with Good Morning Washington at 5:30.
Yeah, still here on the show, some lighter moments from the inauguration, including an interesting look the First Lady gave House Speaker John Boehner. That's next.
We really deserve a round of applause.
Live and in HD, this is Good Morning Washington, on your side.
Oh, expect a busy day at local airports as the hundreds of thousands who came to D.C. for the inauguration now begin to head home. Good morning, Washington. It is Tuesday, January 22nd. I'm Scott Thuman.
And I'm Natasha Barrett in for Sine this morning. We do want to mention that Garrett County schools in Maryland are on a 2-hour delay right now. That's Garrett County schools 2-hour delay. So we'll keep you posted on any other announcements we have regarding schools. Now let's get to Jackie. She's got more on these cold temperatures this morning.
I know you mentioned all the visitors leaving town this morning. I'm thinking a lot of the locals might want to be doing some of the same with this cold air. Has its beach dreaming, and it's going to stick around for a while. Winter has finally arrived with a vengeance, and this big Arctic blast hitting us hard this morning. The wind chill factor down there into the single digits in many areas. Winchester, it feels like 2. It feels like 1 in Martinsburg. Hagerstown feels like -3. Frederick, 4 above in Gaithersburg, and D.C. We're right at 10. But take a notice of the winds. They are very strong coming in out of the northwest, 25 to 30 miles per hour. Those are the sustained winds, and gusts may be reaching up to 30 miles per hour. I saw all the leaves swirling on my way in this morning, and I saw people's garbages flying all over the place. So you might want to secure that yet this morning if you haven't. Our express forecast showing you we'll be into the middle 20s this afternoon with nothing but sunshine. So we'll try and keep it with a positive note that at least it's going to look good and you can sit inside and have the sun shining on you for today. Let's look at your forecast. Let's check on traffic this morning. Hey, Jamie.
Good morning. And Jackie, we're okay in Virginia, off to a quiet start in our nation's capital. We're trying to get everything back to normal, but all the bridges in and out of the district, all major thoroughfares open. Maryland, though, we have a major problem. 270. Heads up here. 270 commuters southbound. They've been dealing with this accident for a little over 5 minutes. Everyone stopped in those main lines right in the center. So 270. This is in the Gaithersburg area at Shady Grove Road. Nobody gets by in those main lines. If you're heading out the door anytime soon, say coming from the Germantown area, get over to those local lanes where you'll be able to get by. But look at this, traffic just coming to a standstill at 370. Let's go back to we're still okay at Middlebrook, but then as you approach 370 Sam Ige Highway to this crash. Again, let's see if there's been any change at Shady Grove Road. They're still stopped in the main lines. Boy, oh boy, and northbound you lose the left side. They say one of the vehicles hit the Jersey wall, so there's some debris on the northbound side too. So a lot going on there. A little extra time will be definitely in your best interest. Scott, Natasha, back to you.
Jamie, that's a tough one this morning. Thanks. After being sworn in and celebrated at 2 inaugural balls, President Obama has one more day of events before getting to work on his second term.
This morning, the Obamas will attend a national prayer service at the National Cathedral. And ABC's Tamon Bradley has a look at the president's speech and some of the late night fun.
At star-studded inaugural balls, President Obama and the First Lady stole the spotlight. Mrs. Obama stunning in a ruby gown by designer Jason Wu. The couple serenaded by Jennifer Hudson. The inaugural balls capped off a spectacular day of pomp, featuring plenty of music. A parade, and a public swearing in at the Capitol. Now it's back to work for Mr. Obama, who in his inaugural address signaled he'll push a bold, progressive agenda.
We have always understood that when times change, so must we.
The president spoke directly to the goals of the more diverse and more socially liberal coalition that reelected him, for the first time in an inaugural speech explicitly mentioning gay rights.
For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well.
He also spoke about climate change, equal pay for women, and immigration reform.
Our journey is not complete until we find a better way to welcome the striving, hopeful immigrants who still see America as a land of opportunity.
The president paused during many of the day's special moments, seeming to take it all in, knowing this would be his last inauguration. Some Republicans thought President Obama's inaugural address was too partisan. With divided government here in Washington, the president will need some GOP support to pass his big agenda items. Tamon Bradley, ABC News, Washington.
All right, 5:36 now, and all those people who were here now making the rush to get out of town.
One place that's all unraveling, Reagan National Airport. It is going to be a busy day there, and I'm sure at Dulles as well. Brianne Carter's been there for much of the morning. Bree, it is unusual to have people, in the airport this early, but today it's happening, right?
Yeah, we're usually here at this hour pretty alone in the beginning of the morning, but so far this morning we have a lot of people joining us. Just as we were saying, the president now has to get to work on his agenda. Well, a lot of these people have to get home to be able to get back to work. Take a look behind me. You can see some people already coming in this morning, and while it looks a little less crowded than it did about a half hour ago up here, that's because they are all now downstairs in the security line that is starting to back up as well. Now, officials with the airport here in Washington say that they expect that this will be just like the day before Thanksgiving, just to give you an idea of the number of people that are expected to be traveling today. Now, we have talked to a number of people this morning. One couple who says they even hope to get bumped from their flight this morning so they can get on a later flight and stay here in the nation's capital for just a little bit longer. They said after the energy of yesterday's inaugural festivities that they would like to stick around just a little while longer. Meanwhile, some people from other areas like New Mexico say they just weren't used to the crowds, and so while it was exciting, they are also excited to be heading home to get back to where it's a little bit quieter of a scene. Now, if you are going to be heading here to the airport, they say get out here early and expect some crowds. Reporting live at Reagan National Airport, Brianne Carter, ABC 7 News.
All right, thank you, Brianne. And we saw plenty of celebrities and other big names at the inauguration, but some notable names were missing. Former President George H.W. Bush and his son, George W. Bush, they did not attend. You'll also recall that the older Bush just got out of the hospital after battling bronchitis. Another no-show, big Obama supporter Oprah Winfrey, whose spokesperson says she's in the middle of a speaking tour. And of course, this isn't necessarily a no-show or a surprise, but the man who lost to President Obama in the election, Mitt Romney, not in attendance. Of course, his running mate, Paul Ryan, member of Congress, he was there.
We did see him. I saw him next to Beyonce. Yeah. There you go.
Good seat.
Good. You took the words out of my mouth. There you go.
A new report on high school graduation rates has just come out.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I mean, it's a big one. We're talking more than 30 years in the making that this hasn't happened. Jumi Alabanji at our live desk. Jumi, explain this one.
Yeah, well, this is some good news. Oftentimes we're talking about maybe how poorly American students are doing, but the percentage of students graduating on time, high school students, has reached the highest level in nearly 40 years. This is according to the most recent estimates released this morning by the National Center for Education Statistics. They say that 78% of students across the country earned their diploma within 4 years of starting high school. The last time we saw numbers like this was back in 1974. Now, students in Maryland and Virginia, good news, they're doing better than the national average. Maryland, 82.2%, Virginia, 81.2%. D.C., though, has a lower graduation rate than all but one state at 59.9%, and the results show that there are lower graduation rates within the nation's biggest cities. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, we're doing good. And to think, it took you 5 years, but that was a while ago, right? Silent sunset. Time now, 5:39, about 22 degrees outside.
Still ahead on Good Morning Washington. Today marks 1 year since the death of longtime Penn State football coach Joe Paterno. We'll show you how he's being remembered.
So you've read about it in the paper, you saw him in the news, but you can see him here in person at the National Aquarium in Washington, D.C., the northern snakehead. Good morning, Washington.
And good morning, Washington. Indeed, it is 5:42 on this Tuesday morning, a cold Tuesday morning. And of course, we've got a lot of traffic to talk about as well today.
Yeah, a lot of big things on the road going on. 270 is the major trouble spot right now. And Jamie, we have some new information about what's going on there.
Unfortunately, Natasha, it was shortly after 5 o'clock. We had this crash in the Gaithersburg area, and I'll take you to our cameras right now. On 270 southbound at Shady Grove Road, right in the center, everyone's been stopped for, about 15 minutes now. The right side local lanes get by. This is extremely tough. Unfortunately, we just heard from police at the scene. They have confirmed there is a fatality at this incident. Anytime that happens, they'll need to do an investigation, a thorough research of what has happened here at the scene of the crash, and that's likely to be with us for an extended period of time. So for everybody, if you're coming out of the Frederick area, if you're pushing south out of Clarksburg, past 118 and heading down toward these points, do watch. Let's go back a little bit here. We'll take a step back at 118 where we're still moving along, but as we come down toward 370 in the scene of the crash, you can see it's going to be very difficult. The other tough spot right now, we have a brush fire in Virginia, 66. They have shut it down right now, 66 westbound. Nobody gets by at Westmoreland Street right in Falls Church. Again, with this brush fire and with the gusty winds, they're trying to get this under control, so I'll keep a watch on that closely too. All right, Adam, we're busy in the traffic center. How about you? Keeping warm there?
Yeah, don't you worry about me keeping warm. I'll always find a way to stay warm. It is a very cold morning, though. Bundle up today. Have the hat, the gloves, and force your kids to wear them out to the bus stop this morning. Temperatures are down in the teens to near 20, but that's only half the story. When the wind picks up, the wind chills are down in the single digits, so it feels like we're in the single digits. We're downtown here in Chinatown, just across the street from the Verizon Center, where Storm Chaser 7 is recording a temperature of 22 degrees, and when the wind picks up, which was just a moment ago, the wind chill drops down to 10, and we're downtown in the warmest part of the area. Well, typically the warmest part of our viewing area. So it is a very frigid start to our day. Tomorrow morning is going to be even a few degrees colder, but it'll be a trade-off in the sense that the wind isn't going to be as bad. As for today, at least we'll have some good sunshine. Yeah, cold this morning, wind chills in the single digits, and this afternoon wind chills will still be 10 degrees to even the lower teens. Highs today only in the mid-20s, anywhere from 22 to 28 for the high temperature, and very similar situation tomorrow. You know, we may not even climb above freezing until Sunday. There's a chance we could climb briefly above freezing on Friday. Otherwise, I think it won't be until Sunday. So a very cold stretch of weather here in Washington. Let's go back inside to Jackie, staying warm, nice and cozy in that studio.
Yes, indeed. And I brought out my big fuzzy sweater today as well, Adam. And I like how you say, tell those kids, force them, make them put those hats on today. And it's very dry, too. You know, hand lotion is a good idea today. And that dry air mask potentially contributing to that brush fire that Jamie was talking about as well. All right, that's the latest on your forecast around here. Now it's time for your Qatar Airways travel forecast.
Ground or in the air, you can always be assured of our 5-star service. Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
Coming up new at 6 o'clock on Good Morning Washington, while President Obama digs in for another term, Mitt Romney takes his place in a special gallery.
Plus, why Oprah believes Lance Armstrong can be a hero again.
And what do Chris Brown, Tom Cruise, and the Kardashians all have in common? Well, they're all victims of what could be a dangerous prank. All of that coming up new at 6 o'clock.
And the Penn State community will gather tonight for a special vigil to mark 1 year since legendary football coach Joe Paterno died. Paterno died of lung cancer 2 months after being fired in the aftermath of the child sex abuse scandal involving former assistant coach Jerry Sandusky. The move remains a sore spot among Penn State alumni and other groups.
Southwest Airlines officials are trying to figure out what caused a fire warning light to turn on during a flight bound for Las Vegas. The pilot abruptly aborted takeoff at Denver International Airport, causing 3 tires to blow out. No injuries were reported among the 137 passengers, although a company spokesperson says no fire was found on board.
A bill that will give states devastated by Superstorm Sandy much needed aid is expected to be approved in the Senate this morning. The House passed the nearly $51 billion bill earlier this month. Today's vote is expected to pass with little debate or controversy. Sandy is blamed for nearly $62 billion in damage. Now, for some, eating hot soup may put your health at risk.
Interesting. And Blockbuster video stores continue to disappear. With more on that, here's Linda Bell. She's live at Bloomberg headquarters in New York. Good to see you again, Linda.
Good to see you as well, Scott and Natasha. There are still some Blockbuster stores out there. However, Dish Network plans to close about 300 of them nationwide. The AP says the move will result in about 3,000 job losses. Now, if you recall, just last year, the company did shut down about 500 underperforming locations. And a warning for you and your kitchen dishes, they may be putting you at risk. Melamine, that's a chemical that's widely used in plastics, and that includes children's dishware. Well, melamine releases toxins when exposed to boiling hot substances, hot foods like soup. And the findings were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Internal Medicine. Now, if you recall, back in 2008, melamine-contaminated dairy products resulted in at least 6 deaths and sickened more than 300,000 babies in China. All right, Scott and Natasha, are you rooting for the Ravens or the 49ers? Well, tickets in this year's Super Bowl are sky high on resale sites like StubHub and eBay. In fact, TickIQ says the average price is more than $3,200 for a pair. So if you're both still interested, there are about 5,000 tickets still available. And if you want to save a little bit of money from that $3,000 price, lower level end tickets are starting at $2,800. Live at Bloomberg headquarters in New York, I'm Linda Bell reporting for ABC 7 News. So Scott and Natasha, get out your wallets.
Just a cheap purchase away, right?
If we all go in on that one seat, I can sit the first quarter.
Yep.
You the second. Jackie gets the third quarter. Linda, you got the fourth quarter. There you go.
All right, I'm there. Fourth quarter.
Is there a coupon for that seat? $2,800.
Is there a Groupon?
A Groupon.
Is there anything?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
How about a Groupon for a flight to Florida?
I'm in.
Temperatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, this Arctic air goes all the way down to the Gulf Coast, so this is really entrenching much of the east. The coldest air that we've seen in 2 years, but it's dry and it makes for beautiful pictures because it's so clear. Take a look at this picture, guys. Last night, the moon and Jupiter in conjunction with each other. So,
I had a feeling, Jackie.
You what?
I said I had a feeling.
You had a feeling?
Yeah.
That it was in conjunction? You just knew it. Basically, it means that they're about 1 degree apart from each other, that you can see them in the sky. So very close together. This is a great photo taken by our own meteorologist, Alex Liggett. So if you have a chance and you can bear the cold this morning, head on out there and see it. If not, here's your look. All right, let's take a look at what is happening at this hour. 23 degrees, that's our temperature. And there's that dry air I was talking about. Our dew point is down to -6. Our winds are to the northwest at 15 miles per hour, so it's kind of one of those days where it's kind of staticky and your hands are going to get a little chapped. Our wind chill factor, we are not even bothering with the temperatures for the most part today. Feels like single digits. We've got 6 at Dulles, 4 at Gaithersburg, 3 in Frederick this morning, and Culpeper, you're a little better at 10. Our winds out of the northwest, very strong, 25 to 30 miles per hour even. This is sustained, not to mention the gusts, and that's why it feels so bitterly cold. Here's that cold air and how far south it goes, as I showed you. So pretty much everybody in the east is in somewhat of the same ballpark as we are, as that Arctic front passed to our south and our skies cleared out. So hey, at least we've got the sunshine today. Let's step you through the future, show you this afternoon. Our wind chill index only getting up there into the teens, maybe low 20s in a few spots. Just kind of depends on when we get some of those gusts. So you really do need to bundle up throughout the day today, and then we'll start to recover just a little bit slowly through the rest of the week. So as we head into tonight, we'll see partly cloudy skies. Cold temperatures are low between 10 and 16. So our temperatures tomorrow morning will be colder than this morning, but the winds will be lesser, so it won't feel quite as bad. There you can see your 7-day forecast. We'll make it into the 30s by the end of the week, and we'll be watching the potential for snow on Friday. So we'll keep you up to date as we get a little closer to that. That's the latest on the cold air. Hopefully those cars are getting started this morning.
Oh,
how are the roads,
goodness.
James?
Oh, Jackie, it's just tough on 270. Quick look, real quick, and I'll let you know that everyone's still stopped. You need extra time. 270 in Gaithersburg right now with a serious crash southbound at Shady Grove Road. We're overhead with News Chopper 7. Nobody's been getting by for about 20 minutes. Watch for big delays. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. That's going to be a big one all morning long. You're going to need some extra time getting through 270. All right, time now 5:55, about 23 degrees outside.
Coming up, we're going to show you some humorous moments from the inauguration, including a few photo bombs. Look at that one there with President Clinton.
I like it.
We'll be right back. All right, 5:58 now. We want to take a look at some of the lighter moments during the inauguration, including a funny moment caught on camera from Mrs. Obama.
Everybody's talking about this one. Some are wondering if the First Lady rolled her eyes at House Speaker John Boehner during the Inauguration Day lunch yesterday. The moment was caught on tape after Boehner tapped her on the shoulder and made a comment. Now, we don't know what he said to her, but there it is. What do you think, Scott?
And then she does it again later here with a kind of a bigger one. There you go.
Well, you see the president smiling with Boehner, so
yeah,
I think
could have just been a little joke.
I think Mrs. Obama was just like, let me eat.
Now, apparently President Obama's youngest daughter, Sasha, wasn't too excited, or at least at this very second. During his inaugural speech, she was caught on camera yawning as her father spoke. The New York Times was behind this animated shot that they keep looping, as you see there.
Poor thing's just tired. The Obama's older daughter, Malia, was awake, but she decided to photobomb a shot of her parents as they kissed.
Well done. And Mrs. Obama's brother, Craig Robinson, he was caught on camera hamming it up, too. Take a look at the face he was making behind the president. That's a good one.
That is good. Former President Bill Clinton decided to photobomb this shot of Kelly Clarkson, who performed My Country 'Tis of Thee at the inauguration. This photo made the rounds on social media yesterday. Lots of people talking about it.
And New York Senator Chuck Schumer wanted some extra camera time, too. He made sure he was in this shot as the president was sworn into office.
There you go. There's your wrap if you're not on Twitter.
All right, we've got another hour of news, and it all starts right now.
Live and in HD, this is Good Morning Washington, on your side.
Hundreds of thousands of people packed the National Mall to watch President Obama get sworn in for a second time. Today, many people are heading home. We're keeping an eye on the lines at Reagan National Airport.
Plus, find out how supporters and opponents plan to mark the 40th anniversary of the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision.
And you want to watch out for this. Southbound 270 right now, traffic trouble spot following a deadly accident on the highway. Jamie Whitten will tell us how to get around that one. And good morning, Washington. I'm Natasha Barrett. Sine has this morning off.
And I'm Scott Thuman. We want to start off by just reporting one quick school delay to report here. Garrett County Public Schools on a 2-hour delay. Of course, that's a much different weather area, what they experienced than a lot of us. Jackie Jarris, we're not experiencing that in our immediate section here.
No, but we're pretty cold, that's for sure. You know, they're in the single digits below zero at times into extreme northwestern parts of Maryland and into West Virginia. Around here, our temperature on the thermometer 21 degrees, but our winds very brisk out of the northwest, 14 miles per hour. So that spells a wind chill factor, the temperature your body feels, of only 8 degrees. Check out Cumberland, -2, -15 in Oakland. So that really is dangerous levels where it only takes a couple of minutes to get frostbite. Our winds are going to be strong throughout the day today. Take a look at the current wind speeds with those gusts coming out of the northwest. These are sustained, or actually these are gusts right now, around 25 to 30 miles per hour. For more details, he's out in the thick of it this morning. Meteorologist Adam Caskey with Storm Chaser 7, and he'll have the express for us. Hey, Adam.
Yeah, and you know, this kind of weather, Jackie, it just toughens you up. It really does when you get outside into the thick of it. Be sure to bundle up the kids. Force them to wear the hat and the gloves early this morning. They're going to need actually all day today and for the rest of the week as well. We're down in Chinatown where Storm Chaser 7 is recording a temperature of 22 now, with wind chills dropping down to 6. That's the coldest wind chill I've recorded here downtown D.C. So it's a very chilly start to our day. Take a look at our express forecast the rest of the day. High temperatures in the 20s. To put this into perspective, the coldest temperature yet recorded this winter at Reagan National is 27. And that was on the morning of the 4th, I believe. That'll be closer to our high oh, excuse me, the wind just picked up. Woo! Kind of takes the air right out of your sail. Woo! The high temperature today will be 27 degrees later this afternoon. So very cold Arctic air in place. It'll be here pretty much for the rest of the week, and there's a chance we may not see temperatures climb above freezing until this weekend, probably on Sunday. There's a chance we could briefly go above freezing on Friday, but other than that, it's looking like Sunday when we climb above freezing again. Big issues on the roadways. Let's go to Jamie with a look at that. What's happening?
Well, we're going to try to get you around this as best that we can, but it's going to take extra time for everyone on 270 this morning. Unfortunately, we have a very serious crash, a fatal incident, and now an investigation will need to be done. Let's go overhead with News Chopper 7. I'll walk you through this. This is 270 southbound. See along the left side, far left side, those are the local lanes, southbound 270 right near the exit for Shady Grove Road. Now in the center, that traffic had been stopped for 30 minutes. As we're at the scene of this crash, crash. They're letting the right lane get by, but it may be to let those commuters that have been trapped in that traffic to get by. We'll see if they keep that right lane open, but they may still have the plan to detour 270 at Shady Grove Road. So options for you, 355. That's sure to pick up a lot of the volume. So if you normally take 355, welcome some of your neighbors in there. And again, over to the local lanes near Shady Grove Road. If you join 270 from Route 28, you're beyond the accident. Scott, Natasha, back to you.
All right, Jamie. 6:03 now on this Tuesday morning, and we know that the crowd estimates were a little bit lower than how many people showed up yesterday. Now they're saying close to 1 million, and now a lot of those people heading home.
Yeah, they have to go somewhere, and they're probably going through Reagan National Airport at some point today. That's where Brianne Carter is live. Now, Brianne, we've seen people behind you all morning long, which is very unusual.
Yeah, this early in the morning to see this many people already certainly isn't a normal scene here at Reagan National Airport. Already people backing up in the security lines. We were talking to some people from Kansas and New Mexico who had early flights to head back home after all of the inaugural festivities. Well, they certainly won't be alone. At the airports here in our region today, they're expecting it to be much like the day before Thanksgiving. So a lot of crowds going to be heading to area airports. Well, joining us this morning is Rob Yingling. He's going to tell us a little bit about what people can expect. Certainly you all are going to see a lot of people come through the airports today.
Sure, but it's a volume we can handle. We're expecting, the day before Thanksgiving worked very well here. We had people coming 2 to 4 hours before their flights, not before that. And if people repeat that experience today, things should go very well.
What would be your advice for people who have a later flight today and are...
All right, we had some technical problems there with that live shot, but as you can tell, a busy day as people make the mass exodus after the inauguration. And the inauguration ceremonies continue today to some degree with the traditional presidential inaugural prayer service.
Yes, that's going on today. President Obama, Vice President Biden, and their wives will attend the interfaith service that's happening at the National Cathedral today. The service includes prayers, readings, blessings, and hymns delivered by religious leaders from all across the country.
I'm loving
Hard not to sing along as the first couple danced to Let's Stay Together by Jennifer Hudson. All eyes were on First Lady Michelle Obama's gown. She attended all 3 inaugural balls and a ruby-colored halter dress from Jason Wu. He's the same designer who created the white gown Mrs. Obama wore back in 2009 at those balls. Now, for more of our inauguration coverage, just visit our website. That website, WJLA.com. There's a photo gallery of the day's events and some tweets and stories from people who were there yesterday. Scott?
Natasha, looking at the day ahead now, jury selection begins in the murder trial of a former Culpeper police officer. Daniel Harmon Wright was indicted in May, then fired from the police department after he allegedly shot and killed Patricia Cook last February. Prosecutors say he was responding to a report of a suspicious person when he approached Cook in his school parking lot and then shot her 7 times. Also today, the trial begins for Michael Johnson, who was charged with first-degree murder in the death of 16-year-old Felicia Barnes. Barnes disappeared during a visit with her half-sister in Baltimore back in December of 2010. Her body was later found in the Susquehanna River. Johnson had a relationship with Barnes' half-sister, although he claims he is innocent. Well, it was 40 years ago today that the Supreme Court handed down one of its most controversial rulings.
The Supreme Court today ruled that abortion is completely a private matter to be decided by mother and doctor in the first 3 months of pregnancy.
The Roe v. Wade decision became a lightning rod for people on both sides of the abortion debate. Abortion rights supporters plan to hold several events today in the D.C. area, including a candlelight vigil that's happening at the Supreme Court. Pro-life groups will also hold their annual March for Life that's scheduled for this Friday.
6:07 now and 20 degrees. Still ahead on Good Morning Washington, why Oprah feels that Lance Armstrong can be a hero again.
And the Wizards work their magic for a big win out west. We're going to have the details, all the highlights coming up.
Also, Jamie Whitten has the latest on that terrible situation on 270, a fatal crash, big backup, a lot more to tell you about when Good Morning Washington returns.
This is Tony Cancelosi from the Columbia Lighthouse of the Blind. We are here to serve the deaf-blind community, people with vision impairment and blindness. Contact us at clb.org.
Good morning, Washington!
All right, take a look at this. A group of climbers braving the bitter cold temperatures in Cedar Falls, Iowa to scale a frozen silo. The younger first-time climbers of the group made it about 20 feet up. The older, more experienced ones scaled nearly to the top.
Oh man, they sprayed that. They had to have. There's no way all that ice would just be on the silo.
That's for fun,
yeah,
but I mean,
sprayed that.
Depends if you like being out in the freezing temperatures.
Well, you know, you got to get creative. When it's cold, you got to embrace it, especially in Iowa, if it's going to stick around. I know, I lived there for how many years? Like 7 years, so.
It feels that, it might not be as cold as that, but it feels that way today.
It kind of does. It's definitely Iowa cold, that's for sure. Take a look at our wind chills this morning. We're down in the single digits across most of the area. It feels like 8 in D.C., 7 at Dulles, 4 in Gaithersburg, Frederick at 4 above, and 11 in Culpeper. So let's show you. It could be worse, okay? Not Iowa, but we've got a Minneapolis temperature for you. The wind chill reading minus 26 in Minneapolis, 13 below in Detroit, and you can even see teens as far south as Atlanta, Georgia. If you're traveling today, the good news is the large majority of the country is going to be quiet and calm. We could see some airport delays here in D.C., BWI up towards Philly, New York, and Boston because the winds are strong. So sometimes that can cause a little bit of an issue, and then we'll have lake effect snows across the Great Lakes, but that's about it. So looking good today, but certainly feeling cold as our temperatures make their way through the 20s, but feeling like teens. From the Belfort Furniture Weather Center, let's check on traffic now. Big accident on 270. Jamie.
It's unfortunate, Jackie, and it's fatal crash. An investigation is now underway, and normally when they need to do investigation, that's sure to be with us for some time. Let's go overhead with News Chopper 7. Show you the latest here. This is in the Gaithersburg area, 270 south at Shady Grove Road. And yeah, looks like everyone's stopped again here. They initially were going to just get the commuters that had been stopped behind this accident southbound. They let the right lane get by, exactly what we thought would happen. They just let the right lane get by to get them stopped, the stop traffic out of those lanes, and now forcing everyone into the local lanes. So 270, it is going to be a long haul. 355 an option for you as you're coming south. If you're joining onto 270 from Route 28, you're beyond this mess of this terrible crash. So again, we'll keep you posted. Scott, Natasha, back to you.
All right, Jamie, thanks. It is 6:13, 20 degrees outside. Coming up, we're going to tell you about a tragedy about, it's happening in Indonesia. There was an earthquake there, and we have more details on that.
Still ahead on Good Morning Washington, Chris Brown joins Tom Cruise and the Kardashians as the latest celebrity victim of what could be a dangerous prank. .6:15 now this morning, and we want to go right to the live desk and check in with Jumi Olabanji because a string of car bomb attacks have erupted around Baghdad and, of course, turned deadly. Jumi?
Yeah, well, Scott, we're getting this updated information from the Associated Press. They say that these series of car bombs have killed at least 15 people this morning and wounded dozens of people. We know that they started early this morning with one car bomb going off, killing 5 people. Then just a short time later, another car bomb went off in another part of Baghdad, killing 6 people, and then a third just a few minutes later, killing 4 more people. Right now, they say no one is claiming responsibility for these attacks, but the Associated Press says they do believe that these are related. We're keeping a close eye on this story. Any new details we get, we'll head back here to the live desk with an update. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Jimmy, checking headlines around the world this morning at 6:16. A 5.9 magnitude earthquake shook Indonesia, killing a 9-year-old girl and injuring many others there. Local media reports are telling us the quake was felt in the capital city and several surrounding districts in Indonesia. A monster earthquake back in 2004 triggered a tsunami that killed more than 200,000 people in that same area. Now, the State Department identified the 3 Americans killed in last week's deadly hostage standoff in Algeria. Officials say Victor Lovelady, Gordon Rowan, and Frederick Butakio died after Islamist militants seized the complex in the Sahara Desert. The Obama administration rejected an offer from the militants to exchange 2 Americans for 2 terror suspects jailed in the U.S. Algeria's prime minister says at least 38 workers, 29 militants died in that siege. 5 foreigners are still missing right now. France says about 1,000 African troops are now in Mali to assist the military effort to oust Islamic militants from power. France has about 2,100 troops there. The U.S. has said it won't send combat troops there, but it will provide logistical support and share with intelligence with the French government. France launched its operation on January 11th, a day after the Islamists ventured south from their strongholds and seized a town. Israeli voters hit the polls in an election expected to give Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu another term. The elections are happening during a time of controversy and criticism. Palestinian peace talks have stalled and the possibility of an attack against Iran looms. But many voters say they'd give Netanyahu a 3rd term because they don't see a better alternative.
Well, the D.C. area and much of the nation waking up to some of the coldest temperatures in years. Dangerous sub-zero wind chills and blowing snow will keep some Minnesota students home from school again today. This is the coldest it has been there in 4 years. Sudden snowbursts and icy conditions led to a deadly 86-car pileup in the Cincinnati area.
Like it my life. I called my boss, freaking out. I called my wife. it was the worst thing I ever seen.
That same storm system dropped up to 3 feet of snow in upstate New York, and New England is bracing for up to a foot. Temperatures also expected to take a nosedive there as well. And it is hockey night in the nation's capital. The Caps host the Winnipeg Jets in tonight's home opener at Verizon. Caps trying to rebound from a 6-3 loss in the season opener Saturday in Tampa. Winnipeg's 0-2 right now, losing to Boston Monday night in a shootout. The puck drops tonight at 7 o'clock. And that is the kind of ice we do look forward to, Jackie Jarris, because a lot of people were anticipating the kickoff of this season. It was delayed, but it's here.
I know, finally.
Yeah.
Yes. Patience, right? We're going to have a lot of patience in terms of waiting for a warm-up because the entire week is very, very cold. Not only is it cold, but it's really, really dry, and that makes for very clear conditions. We have a beautiful photo I want to share with you this morning that was taken just last night from our own Alex Liggett of the Moon and Jupiter in conjunction. So they look almost on top of each other. They're right next to each other. So it makes for very beautiful pictures. We're also just learning, by the way, of the dry air that along 66, another brush fire has started. So we're going to get details on that from Jamie Witten in just a minute and find out how that's going to affect your commute. 21 degrees. That's the temperature on the thermometer. Look at the dew point, -4. So that is a good indicator of how dry that air is. It's pushing in from the northwest at 14 miles per hour. You can even see some shaking on our roof cam there. So it makes it feel like 8 above. It feels like 7 at Dulles. It feels like 2 in Frederick. Look at this into northwestern parts of Maryland. It feels like 15 degrees below zero in Oakland with those winds pushing in at 20, 25 miles per hour. Look at Petersburg. Even a gust of 36 miles per hour at this time. So wind chill advisories in effect here for Hardy, Hampshire, and Mineral counties up towards Garrett County, where they're on a 2-hour delay because of the cold this morning. And we'll step you through time and show you that even by the noon hour today, look at our futurecast, we're still talking low teens across most of the area. We'll likely make it into the upper teens from time to time this afternoon. And then overnight, the winds are going to slack off a little bit, but the temperatures tomorrow morning are going to be colder than this morning. So overall, the feel factor about the same. There you can see our cold front dropping way on down to our south. So this is invading much of the east today as high pressure builds in. At least it's going to look good. And the core of that Arctic air finally slides a little bit to the east as we head into that latter part of the week. So our forecast today, wind chills in the teens, sunny 20 to 28 degrees. And for tonight, partly cloudy and cold. Our lows between 10 and 16. Out in the elements this morning is meteorologist Adam Caskey, and he's joining us live this morning, all bundled up. Staying safe this morning, Adam.
That's right, I have my layers on. And Scott mentioned the Caps home opener here at the Verizon Center just behind me, so I had to only make it appropriate this morning. Rocking my red, baby! CAPS! It is cold outside, but I'm willing to open my nice and cozy jacket to rock my red a little today. Also, I have a new technique here with the Storm Chaser, and to keep me warm, I simply hop up in our nice warm and cozy hood. By the way, our anemometer's whipping on the back there. That's because it's so windy. I just clocked a wind chill of 5 above here downtown DC with an air temperature now down to 21 outside the Verizon Center. It's going to be cold. High temperatures in the 20s today with that wind whipping. So afternoon wind chills, I think even close to 10 degrees. And then as we go ahead for the rest of the week, it's still going to remain cold. We may not see temperatures above freezing until this weekend. Okay, there's a chance on Friday, but that's still up in the air. Otherwise, it's looking like this weekend. And by the way, there is a chance for snow on Friday. And with this situation, it doesn't look like the question of what type of precipitation. It looks like snow, but more or less the how much. A dusting, a little bit, or a few inches. Time will tell. We'll keep you posted. Let's go to Jamie now. Some big issues on the roadways. What's happening now? 270 and 66.
270, 66, and now Virginia Beltway. Let's start first here. We're overhead with News Chopper 7, Maryland. 270 southbound. Terrible crash. Everyone is being diverted 270 southbound as you come up to Shady Grove Road. Now, this is the scene of the crash. The commuters that you see filtering by one single file to the right, those commuters have been stopped for quite some time at the scene of this crash. Look at that. And then you see this blank space. That's now where they're diverting all traffic over to the local lanes. But boy, what a mess. Again, the tough way to start off the morning for everybody. Investigators, for the commuters, 270 southbound, and watch for quite the jam up as you come out of Germantown and through to this point. Now, Virginia on 66 westbound, brush fire, trying to get that under control. You can get by, but slows each direction in Falls Church. And the Beltway is shut down in Springfield. I know I'm a bearer of bad news right now, but the inner loop as you come up to 95 temporarily stopped with the crash. Scott and Natasha, back to you.
Goodness gracious, this morning is not pretty. Thanks for those updates, Jamie. Well, now everybody's talking about Southwest. You know, usually one of the cheapest ways to fly, and you always have to have that card to get where you're going. Well, they don't have the cards anymore, do they? To wait in the line, you just go where it says.
Right, and there's an option to pay up now, and Paula Ferris has more on that with today's America's Money Report.
Good morning, everyone. Topping America's Money. Can Wall Street make it 4 in a row? The major U.S. markets have closed higher for 3 straight weeks now, thanks to solid earnings reports. This week, the major companies we're going to hear from include Verizon, DuPont, Google, and Apple. And don't look for any gun deals on Groupon. The coupon site no longer offering promotions for anything related to firearms in the wake of last month's Connecticut school shooting. Groupon only says that it is reviewing the category. And Southwest Airlines will now guarantee you're among the first 15 people aboard a flight. The carrier doesn't currently assign seats, so getting on early is important. The new service is $40 and can be purchased at the gate. And the first of the new 2014 Corvette Stingrays already sold. Even though it won't be available till the summer, the price was $1.1 million at a charity auction, about 20 times what the rest will cost. And that is America's Money. I'm Paula Ferris.
How do you define your moment? The blissful pause just before that rich sweetness touches your lips. The delightful discovery. The mid-sweetening realization that you have the house all to yourself. Well, almost. The sweet reward, making a delicious choice that's also a smart choice. Splenda no-calorie sweetener with the original sugar-like taste you love and trust. Splenda makes the moment yours.
Here's to the guys who grow facial hair and make life more interesting. Keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard. Comb in, and in 5 easy minutes, gray is gone. Grow on, you champions of facial hair. Just for Men. Look like a champ.
At Pedigree, we're donating our food to shelters in need. Now you can help too. When you buy a bag of Pedigree, you'll help more shelter dogs go home. Join us, feed your dog Pedigree, and you'll help us feed more shelter dogs.
Here's Crawford. He'll shoot. Crawford. Dagger!
Oh, you know when he yells dagger, it's a good sign. Jordan Crawford drills a buzzer, beating 3. Wizards stun Portland 98-95. The play finished actually second in ESPN's top 10 of the night. Shows you how good it is. The Wizards have now won 5 of their last 7, and they seem to like playing those Trailblazers. Earlier this year, the Wizards snapped the worst ever franchise start at season-opening 12-game losing streak, also against Portland.
And days after a revealing interview, Oprah Winfrey says disgraced cycling champion Lance Armstrong can make a turnaround. Winfrey told a Canadian audience Armstrong has the opportunity to be a hero again. She says confessing to using performance-enhancing drugs to win his 7 Tour de France titles was the hardest thing he's ever done. Winfrey says if Armstrong does the work to become a good human being, he can rise again. All right, time now 6:28, and there's still another half hour of Good Morning Washington.
Coming up, airports in the region expect Thanksgiving-like crowds today as inauguration watchers head home. Brianne Carter has a live report coming up.
live and in HD. This is Good Morning Washington, on your side.
Well, they came, they saw, now they have to head home. We are live at Reagan National Airport as the inaugural revelers begin leaving.
We also have an early traffic headache for you after a deadly accident has shut down part of I-270. Jamie Winton will help you figure it all out this morning. And Jumi's at the live desk with more on brush fires causing delays on 66. What a morning.
A lot going on there. And Prince Harry says he's excited about becoming an uncle, but he's very concerned for his brother and sister-in-law. We'll explain that as well. Good morning, Washington. It is Tuesday, January 22nd. I'm Scott Thuman.
And I'm Natasha Barrett in for Sine this morning. We're going to get with Jackie Jarris and these cold temperatures. Jackie, good morning.
Good morning to you. It is bitterly cold this morning. There you can see our wind chill index only in the single digits. This is the coldest air we've seen in 2 years. That's right, 2 years. So bundle up today as it is getting close to dangerous levels. Our wind chills are going to be in the single digits this morning. We should make our way into the teens this afternoon, but the bright note is at least we'll have plenty of sunshine. And for those of you who love snow, could we sync up this cold air with some moisture? Looks like a decent possibility as we head into the latter part of the week. Okay, out in the elements this morning is meteorologist Adam Caskey, all bundled up with more details on that and the Express today. Hey, Adam.
Yeah, very bundled up this morning. Force the kids and yourself to wear your hat and mittens outside all day long today. And really for the rest of this week, I'm up here next to our anemometer. And this measures the wind speed, and the wind vane portion of it, when it twists, measures the wind direction. We just got a nice little gust there. Wind chills I've measured here down to about 5 degrees downtown DC, right outside the Verizon Center. So a very chilly start to the day. Wind chill single digits now, and we're only climbing into the 20s for high temperatures this afternoon, but it's going to be breezy all day long. So when you factor in the wind, as measured by our little anemometers here, when you factor in the wind, it's going to feel like it's closer to 10 later on today. Cold the rest of the week with prospects of snow by Friday. We'll have more on that coming right up. Now let's go to Jamie. We have a lot of issues on the roads, 270, 66. I hope that's it for now, Jamie.
Oh, and we have the Beltway, Virginia, too, Adam. So let's start first. We're overhead with News Chopper 7, and we'll walk everyone through this on 270, what you need to know if your trip comes out of the Frederick area and in through Germantown and Gaithersburg. Everyone is diverted off of the interstate. No one uses the main lines of 270 or sent to the local lanes. Very serious accident. You see where the police car is? That indicates where everyone from the local lanes would be able to get to the main lines. Not the case. Traffic is stopped. Local lanes only get by at Shady Grove Road. Huge delays as you come southbound. This has been with us for over an hour now. 355, that's an option and an alternate for you. That's sure to pick up some of those delays. And if you're joining on 270 from 28, you're beyond the accident. Let's go quick in Virginia. Interstate 95, lanes are open and you can get up to the Beltway. However, if you're coming out of Alexandria, the Beltway is looks like the right lane gets by on the inner loop now. It had been shut down for a while. The brush fires we've been talking about on 66, and now for more on that and details, let's go to Jumi Olabanji. Jumi, this is inside the Beltway in Falls Church. Tell us what else you have.
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. We've been speaking with both Arlington County and Fairfax County fire officials. They're working together on this. They say that the call came in for these brush fires initially around 5:30 this morning. There are several brush fires they're working, at least 2 separate ones. They say that they've shut down the westbound entrance of I-66 at Washington Boulevard near Lee Highway, that in Arlington and Falls Church area. WMATA Metro is reporting that because of the activity going on around there, buses to Dulles Airport may experience some delays. We know that traffic is being diverted around that area by both Fairfax County and Arlington County Police. Some of that traffic being moved onto Sycamore. As Jackie had mentioned, because of the dry air, these brush fires are possible, so you may want to avoid that area if you drive through the Lee Highway, Washington Boulevard area of Arlington County. We have a crew headed to the scene. Any new information or pictures we get, we'll make sure to pass those along. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right. Thank you so much, Jumi. Let's talk now about those big crowds that we've been referencing all morning long, because as we mentioned, initial estimates, some people thought we'd get about 500,000 to 700,000. Turns out now they claim it's closer to 1 million. A lot of people from out of the area.
And those people have to go somewhere after all the parties. Brianne Carter's with them live at Reagan National Airport. Bree, how's it look out there?
A lot of people heading home very early this morning. Take a look here behind me. You can see a number of people already getting in line to get their tickets and their bags checked to head down to security, where we've already started to see some backups at this hour. As you said, they estimated anywhere between 500,000 and 800,000 people would be in town, and now they think it's closer to 1 million. So a lot of people are now headed home. Well, we talked to one couple who came here from Kansas. They flew in on Thursday, and they had a flight early this morning, but they were hoping that it would be so crowded that maybe they would get bumped to a later flight today.
If we can, we'd like to leave later on today. No other place where you can take the subway from the airport and go somewhere and then come right back. So we thought, well, if we can get a later flight, we'd like to go just do a little bit more.
They said they were so excited from being here with all of the festivities that once they got home, they said they felt so patriotic. They want to read the Constitution. They said that's something now on their to-do list after attending everything this weekend. Now, if you are flying today, officials with both airports in our region say that the best advice is to get here at least 2 hours early. Reporting live, Brianne Carter, ABC 7 News.
All right, good advice, Bree. Now, yesterday, obviously, was President Obama's day as he celebrated his second inauguration.
But today is former Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney's day. Why, you ask? Romney's portrait will be added to the They Also Ran gallery at a bank in Northwest Kansas. It joins a gallery of John McCain, John Kerry, Al Gore, Bob Dole, and other presidential candidates who lost the race. Romney is not expected to attend today's ceremony, though.
All right, 6:37 now and just 20 degrees out. We're keeping an eye on big backups along I-270 following a deadly accident there. Jamie Whitten's going to have another update for you coming up next.
Also here ahead on Good Morning Washington, why police paid Chris Brown an unexpected visit.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
.640 now, and an interesting story here is the Chinese government is urging schools to beef up their physical education. Obesity rates among Chinese students has been soaring, and experts say it's partly because of the increasing popularity of video games. Back in November, 2 college students in China collapsed and died during mandatory annual running exams, and that, of course, has sparked concern about declining fitness. Well, 6:41 now. We want to get back to this urgent situation we're dealing with on I-270.
Yeah, Jamie Winton's got more about 270, the deadly accident, and 66 having some trouble there. Jamie?
Boy, it's been a morning for sure. And here's the latest update for 270 commuters. Southbound, just after 5 o'clock, had this serious crash at Shady Grove Road. So everyone coming through Germantown into Gaithersburg. This will affect you, and for everyone even farther north out of Clarksburg and pushing south. This is a delay on the approach. We're at Middlebrook Road right here. And then you pass 370 Sam Ige Highway. Southbound 270 still shut down. The main lines as you come up to Shady Grove Road. Only the local lanes accessible. Now you see closely here in the center those cars that are getting by. Those are the commuters that have been stopped for 1 hour now in the backup. News Chopper 7's on the way to Springfield. We have a crash on the Virginia Beltway, inner loop at 95, but now they are allowing one right lane to get by. And 66 trying to recover in Falls Church with the brush fires now under control. All right, Jackie Jarris, good morning to you.
And good morning to you, Jamie. Good morning, everybody. We're out in the elements this morning to give you an idea of just how cold it is out here. You really need to bundle up today because when those winds howl, you really feel that wind chill factor down in the single digits. So it feels like 8 this morning. We're just a couple blocks from the Rosslyn Metro, so we're seeing quite a few people come in and out, most of them covering up with hats and gloves, but those that aren't, you can just see their white knuckles this morning. Our express forecast for today will feature lots of sunshine, so at least things will be looking good throughout the day, but feeling cold. Will rise from the single digits with our wind chill this morning into the teens as we head into the afternoon hours, and this cold air is going to be sticking around through the better part of the week. Might get above freezing on Friday afternoon, and for you snow lovers, we might sync up that cold air and some moisture on Friday as well. That's the latest from Rosslyn, Virginia right now. Let's take a look at your Qatar Airways travel forecast.
The Conqueror rises, flowing with quiet energy, while the soul dips in pools of indulgence. Be free. Be alive. Live a story worth retelling. Be where you want to be. Over 100 destinations worldwide. Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, the Senate is expected to approve a bill today that would provide aid to states devastated by the storm. The House passed the nearly $51 billion bill earlier this month. The Senate is now expected to pass the bill today with little debate. Sandy is blamed for nearly $62 billion in damage throughout New York, New Jersey, and Maryland.
Checking news now around the nation. There were some scary moments at a hospital in southeastern Wisconsin. Hospital officials say a sheriff's deputy and a prisoner who was a patient there got into a fight. The deputy's gun went off. There is no word on whether anyone was hurt, but officials say everyone is now safe and that the incident is under investigation.
Meantime, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board are continuing to investigate the lithium-ion batteries found in Boeing's Dreamliner jets. They're heading to Arizona this morning to meet with manufacturers of the Charger. An overcharged battery was not the cause of a fire on board a Japan Airlines Boeing earlier this month, but problems with wiring and charging components cannot be ruled out right now. Boeing's entire 787 fleet remains grounded.
Police in Los Angeles are investigating another Hollywood hoax call. Police responded to singer Chris Brown's home after they received a call about a domestic violence situation. Well, it turns out it was false. When police arrived, members of Brown's staff were at the home, but he wasn't. Other recent hoax calls have been made involving the homes of Tom Cruise, Justin Bieber, Ashton Kutcher, and Miley Cyrus. Well, Prince Harry is set to return home after a tour of duty in Afghanistan, and he's speaking out about becoming an uncle.
Can't wait to be an uncle. I think it's very unfair that they were forced to publicise it when they were, but that's just the media for you. But I just only hope that she gets the necessary protection to allow her as a mother-to-be to enjoy the privacy that comes with.
Of course, Prince Harry is talking about his brother and sister-in-law, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. They announced last month they're expecting a baby. Prince Harry has spent nearly 20 weeks in Afghanistan serving as a gunner in an Apache attack helicopter.
6:47 now, and the time on the bottom of your screen says 19 degrees, but that's, we wish it was
down.
19 degrees.
Yeah, you know, the temperature on the thermometer, quite honestly, doesn't really matter all that much today.
Okay.
It's all about the wind chill factor. Air is very dry. I think I'm a little staticky. Do you see?
Oh, me too. It's like I put my finger in an outlet.
Yeah, all I had to do was put on that jacket to go outside, take it off to come back inside, and there you go. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a beautiful sunrise this morning, though. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. 21 degrees, that is the temperature at Reagan National, and there's your wind speed out of the northwest at 14 miles per hour, and so that's driving the wind chill factor down to feeling like 8 in D.C. It feels like 7 at Dulles, 5 in Gaithersburg, 2 in Frederick. Good morning to you in Martinsburg. Feels like 4, and it feels like -2 in Cumberland this morning. And let's look at those wind gusts across the area, 20 to 25 miles per hour. That's going to be common, especially through the morning hours today. Our wind should die down later on tonight, and we are expecting our wind chill factor to stay very cold throughout the day. We're going to step you through time and show you that even by the noon hour, we're only talking low teens across much of the region, and still some single digits, Luray, Winchester, and Hagerstown. We could get into the upper teens this afternoon, and then our winds die down late tonight, but tomorrow morning colder than this morning, so the overall feel factor is still going to be just about the same. Your 7-day forecast showing you will stay below that freezing mark through the rest of the week, and we could pop just above the freezing mark by Friday. And that cold air syncing up with some moisture, we could get a little snow around here on Friday. We'll keep you up to date on that. That's your 7-day forecast. Let's check on traffic. A lot of trouble this morning, Jamie.
Absolutely, Jackie. We'll begin first for Maryland commuters. 270 started in the 5 o'clock hour. Serious accident, and investigation is still underway. So let's take you right now south on 270 through Gaithersburg. Here we are at Shady Grove Road. You see in the center with the flashing lights. Nobody gets by in the main lines at 270. Your delays coming out of Germantown. What gets by are the local lanes, so all traffic coming southbound forced to make that turn into the local lane. So that's definitely going to add extra time on the commute. You can see we'll go back to Middlebrook Road and again back near Sam Ige Highway. Now we're overhead in Virginia with News Chopper 7. We're now just arriving to the scene of this incident in Springfield. Let's get the latest now. We're looking at this together here, and good. This is just a change for the better. They have just released traffic. This is the inner loop of the Beltway after the exit for 395, but at 95 traffic there had been stopped for a while. Delays back near Eisenhower Avenue. All right, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jamie. 6:50 time now, about 19 degrees out there. The Tuesday Express is coming your way.
Yeah, we've got a live roundup of today's top stories and what you need to know before you walk out the door. Here's a live look at the White House on this Tuesday morning. A lot of people probably rubbing the sleep out of their eyes after a late night and another big day ahead of them. More on that and traffic and weather when we return.
Good morning. Coming up, a story igniting a lot of controversy. Meet the 3-year-old who is joining the family business very early. There you see him wrangling crocodiles and deadly boa constrictors. Is this kind of activity safe for a toddler? That's next, coming up on GMA.
All right, 6:53 now, and that means it's time for the Tuesday Express.
It is. We begin with the roundup of today's top stories. It has been a rough morning out on the roads. We have a deadly wreck that shut down southbound 270 at Shady Grove Road. The local lanes are open, but backups extend for miles. We're going to get an update from Jamie Whitten in just a moment.
And there are also some problems along 66 now. Jumio Labanji is at the live desk with details.
Well, just into the ABC7 newsroom, we have video of the situation where several brush fires are impacting traffic along I-66 westbound. This happening near Washington Boulevard and Lee Highway. You see the scene there. Started around 5:30 this morning, but as of about 6:45, we found out that the fires are now put out, and all lanes are reopened, but the backups and delays continue this morning. Bree?
Well, Jimmy, here at Reagan National Airport, crowds are building as everyone in town for the inaugural festivities is getting ready to head home. We've already seen a number of people getting on flights this morning. There was estimated that about 1 million people attended the swearing in there on the National Mall yesterday. Now, officials with the airport say that this will be something like the day before Thanksgiving, so they are urging everyone to get here at least 2 hours early. Back to you guys inside.
All right, Bree, now here are the things you need to know before you head out this morning.
Yeah, inaugural festivities continue today with the presidential inaugural prayer service. That interfaith service begins at 10:30 at the National Cathedral.
Attention all hockey fans. Hockey returns to the nation's capital. The Caps host the Winnipeg Jets in their home opener at the Verizon Center. The Caps are trying to rebound from a 6-3 loss in the season opener. That happened Saturday in Tampa.
And Garrett County, Maryland schools are on a 2-hour delay today because of that cold weather. For more information on any of these stories, just visit our website, WJLA.com, and look for the Tuesday Express tab. Time now for us to check in one more time with Adam Caskey.
Yep, Adam's been out there all morning, and you've been like Superman. What's underneath that coat there?
Rocking the red, baby. CAPS! I knew we'd be down here near the Verizon Center, so I thought it's only appropriate with the Caps home opener here against the Jets. It's cold. I need to button this back up. So it's cold. 21 degrees at the Storm Chaser. It feels like 6 above downtown when you factor in the gusty winds. It's going to be cold all day. High temperatures only in the 20s, both today and tomorrow. And you'll feel the wind all day long today. And get this, tomorrow morning I think air temperatures will be even colder. But it's a trade-off because the wind won't be quite as bad. We're also looking at the prospects of maybe a snowmaker Friday. I refuse to call it a potential storm now, Jackie, because we don't even know it's potential yet.
Yeah, the model's a little bit all over the place on that one, that's for sure. And if our temperatures get above that freezing mark, we could see a little wintry mix first. But, you know, for the most part, we're staying below the freezing mark all week long. The worst of it today and tomorrow, and then we'll slowly improve things a little bit. This, on average, is typically the coldest week of the year, and Mother Nature delivering, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the roadways now. One more update on those accidents, Jamie.
All right, better in Virginia. Inner loop of the Beltway, stick with it, leaving Alexandria and over towards Springfield. We're overhead with News Chopper 7. Tracking the volume near Eisenhower Avenue at I-95, crash gone. Maryland 270 main lines. You see the flashing lights? No one gets by. Everyone forced to the local lanes. Back to you.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great morning, everyone. Good Morning America coming up next.
Bye.